So let's get into our next topic here, and we have ICE raids. ICE raids do happen in the state of California and even in the Bay Area, even though California is a sanctuary state. But the federal government does not, I believe they don't recognize California as a sanctuary state, and they still have the right to do local raids.
I don't think any of the states that consider themselves sanctuary states are even recognized by the federal government. They simply means that on a municipal or a statewide level, we won't turn immigrants in or illegal immigrants in. You know, we it's more of a, hey, you can come to us because we know what the federal law is, but we're just not going to
enforce
it. And so none of the sanctuary states are actually recognized by the federal government. But
yeah, so and this is very interesting debate, because you have some people that argue the federal government still has the right to do it. Then obviously there's the other argument that it's really unneeded for the most part, because one of the issues, just this whole entire illegal immigration, the issue that's going on at the southern border right now along Mexico, New York Times article that came out with that horrible photo of the father and daughter dead in the river. It's getting to a point where I think a lot of people publicly are really pushing against the federal government now, because of just many people feel this is unwarranted, it's unnecessary, and it's really not needed. I mean, it's like the wall, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we really don't need to build a wall when about 85% of illegals enter the country through legal means.
Right.
You know, they come in on visas and just never renew it, and they don't leave.
In fact, I heard an interesting, funny joke on the other day regarding the whole wall. They seized a big, gigantic freighter with $1 billion worth or something like that of cocaine, and of course it was cocaine coming over from the sea. And a big reason why Trump wants to build the wall is to stop all the drug dealers, bringing their drugs over. And so, of course, the joke was that we probably have to build a bigger seawall as well to keep all those types of drugs out, because clearly the wall that we're building on the border isn't working. They just went around, took a big gigantic freighter and tried to drag it through.
And we also saw, and now with ICE, we saw an issue where ICE was participating with San Francisco County Sheriffs and the San Francisco Police Department in doing local raids. And San Francisco was okay with it because they were targeting certain dangerous individuals. Now, what most people don't understand is that when ICE is doing these raids, most of the time they're going to have a specific target. The specific target is going to be targeting an individual that is associated with certain people that could be a danger to locals, national security, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they don't actually make random raids looking for illegal immigrants. In fact, we were discussing this, and tactically, that would not even be the best use of time, money, and resources to just randomly look around and do ID checks to see if you're an illegal immigrant. It's mainly, like you pointed out, looking for a specific targeted criminal.
Now, where the problem comes into play is where ICE is targeting certain specific individuals where they might know there are additional undocumented people, and when they raid the place, they round up and take everyone there that's not documented. And then that becomes a problem, because now they're not just specifically targeting one person, but they're using that as an excuse to go after multiple people. Now, one of the concerns, going back, how does this really affect real estate? Well, one of the concerns a lot of property owners have is there's a law here in California that went into effect January 1st of 2018 that says if someone is undocumented, you cannot simply deny them on a rental application. You have to give them the chance to build up or provide additional evidence of credit. So if someone doesn't have a social security or a tax ID number, you can ask for additional documentation, which many times they do have, that can supply a 12-month history payment of maybe cell phone bills, current utility bills, Netflix, Hulu, anything that they pay on a recurring basis. And so the law simply states you have to give them that opportunity and chance to put that together before you actually deny their rental application for not meeting your minimum credit score standard. But one of the concerns, so with that law in effect, let's say you are renting to undocumented people and you've got no problem doing that, but then if you don't know when ICE will do random raids and take your tenants away, and all of a sudden you end up with a vacancy unexpected. That then becomes issue for the landlord to deal with, because that's going to cost the landlord money in loss of rents, getting the unit fixed up again, re-rented. There's a lot of expenses on the landlord side. So this is a big problem.
Repairing the door that was broken down.
And that too, yeah. So there's a lot of concern, because for many landlords that rent out to undocumented people, there's always the risk of a raid and then you losing your tenant, and sometimes not just one tenant, but it could be the whole family depending on the circumstances. So it's one thing to, really get educated in the different laws. If you're a landlord and tenant, if you're a tenant that happens to be undocumented, make sure you go through all the different laws currently in place to make sure you're protected, and talk to a real estate attorney to see what could possibly happen if ICE were to raid one of your buildings.